Well, make America great again. Now, campaign slogan. I don't know how this guy's going to, that was Trump's slogan, but I got to tell you, I think what may make America great again is if the government collapses. I don't hope the private sector collapses. And, that's one of the reasons we're going with real commodities, real goods, real things that can help. Real because when you look at money, it is a guise. It's a medium of exchange. Yeah, you need it, but if you put all your savings in these electronic institutions, who the hell knows what's going to happen? This is a picture from the Great Depression. Merchants Bank of Passaic in New Jersey. Yeah, big run on the bank. A lot of people back then were wise enough, though, to know not to keep all their money in the bank. There was runs on the bank, but actually, people back in the 20s were smart enough not to do that. It is not the way it is today. Now, I know the internet of, for exchanging goods and finding goods is great because, back before you used to have to search through catalogs for a certain item. Now it's like you can do Google search, eBay search, Amazon search, or whatever, and you can find an item, and it's a lot easier, and somebody somewhere in the world has what you need, whether it's some, oddball thing. Back before, it was very difficult to find certain things, certain items that you may need. And one of the premises out there, why can't you give my dad a job? Actually, I'm going to tell you, really, the reality of the situation is, I know there's employment out there, and there's employers, and there's people that are employees, but the employer does not hire you unless you got something to provide for them that they can make a profit off of. They're not giving you anything, actually. Give my dad a job. It's like, it turned into a big government subsidy of jobs too. The big, what is it, the WPA? I forgot what the heck that was. Under FDR. If you can actually do something or learn something, it's not like actually how you learn. Just do it. Pick up a hammer, pick up a welder, whatever. Start growing crops, whatever. Just do it. And yes, it's easy to say versus to actually do, but you'd be surprised what you do if you're just methodically plodding along on something. Right now I'm kind of learning welding. I'm going back into that, doing other things. Now, the big joke was, and it's not a joke, but it was like, facetious facade, and the powers and the media powers are always out there putting, even way back when, during the Great Depression and before the Great Depression, and during the Great Depression, world's highest standard of living. There's no way like the American way, when people are standing in bread and soup lines. And they're doing that today too. Like right now, and this is not a doom and gloom video. I'm really telling you the reality situation is. I think we're coming to, full circle on this, and it's because of government intervention that's destroyed our. It's not like the people did it, but yes, I guess if you have the people that are, taking off the government grain dole, they're part of the problem. But it's the government itself has actually destroyed the freaking free enterprise. It's like it's always been that way. And we've had good presidents and bad presidents, some that went for the laissez-faire, true American capitalism, like small business capitalism or cottage industry capitalism, where you even have people making stuff in their home, whatever it is. I mean, you could be making wood-burning rocket stoves or something. You could be making lavender products or something for resale or value added to something or else, or maybe refurbishing old computers that, like the XP computers. Like those a lot better than some of like the Windows 8. It was horrible. Refurbishing those and reselling them. That's something you can do, even as not even a small business, but like a cottage industry. If you work for somebody, yeah, they're gonna make you, they're gonna pay the employer side of the FICA and the Medicare. They're gonna pay the federal unemployment insurance. They're gonna pay. They might be required to pay your health insurance. I don't know if that'll be something, but then they got it. There's a lot of different things they have to comply with. It's very expensive to hire somebody unless maybe they're 1099. It's a little easier, right? Now, if an employer's paying you, you can do the same work more than likely, unless it's such a big, complicated operation where, I don't know, you're making, some kind of electronic goods, and you're the guy that does the programming or debugging or whatever, and you can't make the whole product, so you're part of you're one of the cogs in the wheel. So that's a different story. But most of the time, people can just there's so much stuff out there that's needed that people are just too lazy to freaking do it. They're looking to government to fix things, and that's 99% of the problem. So once the government goes away, and we have I'm hoping it does. Tell you the truth, I'm not hoping there's a crash in the private sector. I want the private sector to thrive and do very well. I don't really give a damn about the government sector. Government sector has always been a problem that's putting the brakes on the private. And a lot of quotes from Tom. It's like one of the good presidents we had was Thomas Jefferson. Sometimes it's said that man cannot be trusted with government of himself. So then it can be So can you trust government to people that you elect? No, I mean to other people. That's what he's saying in his expression, right? If he can't be trusted the government himself. How are you going to trust somebody else to do that for you? But that's what a lot of people want, right? They want it. They want to be out of the loop. They want it all like on automatic. They don't want to take responsibility and do what they need to do. They want it all fixed for them, right? Somebody to just come along and just fix everything. Now maybe that's kind of like what Trump is to a lot of people too. And I know like a lot of people hate Trump, but there's a lot of people that were for him, right? But I look at it like this. We don't need somebody really a strong leader to fix everything. We need to actually just knock down the government a lot more, and I think it's going to happen through the debt situation that's in the government right now. It's not going to be able to go on forever. I don't know when it's going to stop. I mean, they were saying, oh, the debt went over $1 trillion during the Reagan times. Now it's going to be $20 trillion, right? Very soon, or maybe just hit it right now. It's right at $20 trillion, basically. I don't know, I think the government's going to have a problem anyway. So that's actually what's going to make America great again. When government falls apart, private, people are just going to have to do. People can do. It's like you just don't have time to worry about the situation. Just got to do it. Just do it. Damn it. I always liked Thomas Jefferson. I know, like a lot of the major historians say, oh, he's a slave owner. You know what? They were all slave owners back then. But you know what? I look at it like this. Today, you got the Apple executives. They're slave owners. They farm out all the labor to China. Leo guy. Walmart's slave owners. They do the same thing. It's just a different method. And all these people buying all these electronic components and stereos and stuff from these big box stores made in China, they're supporting slavery. That's exactly what's going on, except, it's somewhere else now. That's the difference. So we've got global slavery, right? I'm not saying it's right, but I'm telling you, the same thing's going on today in a different form. So, but this guy, he was a good guy. Thomas Jefferson was a good guy. Another one was Warren Harding. Historians say, oh, he was a bad president. You know what he did? This is what I'd like Trump to do. But after Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding came in. He was the Republican. Woodrow Wilson was a flat out one of the most racist presidents we ever had, Democrat, right? He was like, he had segregation policies in the federal government itself, right? In Woodrow Wilson. And he's the one that got us involved in World War I. He said he wasn't going to, and he did. It was his time in when the Federal Reserve Act got passed, and also the constitutional amendment for the 16th Amendment for the income tax, the progressive income tax. That got passed during Woodrow Wilson, and the government got much bigger. So when Warren Harding came in, and the people realized what was going on with World War I and and how we were led into it and all that. Well, he basically went to laissez-faire capitalism, not big monopolistic capitalism, because big monopolistic capitalism is a lot like communism, It really is. You got a few control everything. Laissez-faire capitalism, when you got small business and cottage industry, that's cool. That's what he was more into. And he scaled back the government a lot, Warren Harding. From the time Woodrow Wilson was in, it went way up, real strong. World War I, government, big debt. We got the method to tax people now. It's good for big business. And Warren Harding scaled that back, and that was the beginning of the age of prosperity. That's what happened. We got rid of a lot of government. Then Calvin Coolidge came in after him, but the banksters were playing their game, and they were leading everybody into the stock market, which kind of makes me look at the stock market today. Maybe the stock market's going to go up more, but I think we're going to start seeing more inflation in goods, regular consumer goods pretty soon, more and more too. And I don't, there should be a correction. No, it should be a correction, I think, because the PE ratios are extremely skewed on the stock market. But if you look at it in the 20s, you know, it was more plausible to believe that it would go up more and more because it was a new industrial age. Um, there was a standardization of factories and components. Horses were being replaced by mechanization. There was machines that were running 24 hours a day to make parts. So you would think there would be a permanent age of prosperity in the 20s, and it still came down, right? I think it came down by plan, really, but I suspect that's what's going to be happening again. See, in the 20s, it was far more plausible to think it would keep going than it would be today. We've already had our warnings in 2008, 2009. We have not had a real recovery because manufacturing in the United States is terrible. Calvin Coolidge, too. He was the one that came after Warren Harding. The business of America is business, and he was very much a moral guy. We do not need more intellectual power. We need more spiritual power. We do not need more of the things that are seen. We need more of the things that are unseen. How many presidents you would see say that today? Not too many, right? Not too. I don't anybody really, right? So he was he was a staunch kind of conservative religious guy, but he believed in true American business where people just work and provide and make their own things and small business, right? That's what he was about. The business of America is business and not monopolistic business where it's controlled by a few people. So, and you would never think that the age of prosperity in the 20s would have ever came to an end, but I think it was planned to come to an end, and I'm suspicious that they got plans for now too. I don't know what's going to happen with Trump, to tell you the truth. He's got, the major media and a lot of media outlets are saying he's got Mitt Romney slated to possibly be the Secretary of State. And I was like, holy smokes, Trump. And we'll see. If Mitt Romney's the Secretary of State and nothing happens with the Clintons and they don't get slammed, I know, right now they're making it seem like they're going to go after him, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It won't take but 6 months for you to figure out exactly what Trump's going to do. I mean, if you look at the running of all the presidents, what they say and what they do are always been two different things. I know Trump pissed off a lot of people, and I don't want Hillary in, but I think Hillary lost by a wide margin, to tell you the truth. I think there was a lot of cheating on her behalf. I don't think it was anywhere close like people are saying and all that kind of crap. I think it was a big, wide margin that Trump actually won by. But say Hillary really did win, and she did win, got the Electoral College. Well, I look at it like this. People are going to get, you ask for it, you're going to get it. That's what I look at it like that too, man. She has a lot of things that would, her biggest supporters would be the ones that would take the brunt of it. So I wasn't worried about it one way or the other. I didn't vote for her, but just telling you about this Make America Great crap is actually going to play out better if the government collapses. And I'm not talking about societal collapse. I'm hoping it's just the government. We don't need this stupid government, man. It's like it's a waste. We never had all this crap back in when America was really cooking really the best, like in the late 1800s and stuff, even in the early 1900s. We didn't have the size of government we had, and we did the best in the 1920s when they scaled back the government a lot during Warren Harding and Calvin Coolidge. We did the best then. And I know the banksters set up the freaking Great Depression, and a lot of garbage was going on with that. It was a setup. Grover Cleveland, he was another great president. He was in the late 1800s during the the industrial age. He was like a very, very good man. You'll see his picture on a lot of the $1,000 bills. You probably don't see too many of those around anymore, but he's on that. But he's also a great president. Now, some of the worst presidents we had, well, I mean, when people, some of the people say bitching about Obama or something like that, but because he's recent memory. But you know, actually, a lot of the presidents we had recently were pretty damn bad. Um, but probably our better presidents were in the early times of the nation when we weren't that strong. Um, when the 20th century came around, 1900s, in other words, it's like a lot of things went downhill. Woodrow Wilson was a bad president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was a bad president too. He was basically increased the hell out of the size of the government. Um, Johnson was a bad president. Nixon was a bad president. Carter was a weak president. Reagan was a president that made great speeches but didn't really do what he said he was going to do, and he was a puppet of George H.W. Bush, who was a bad president. We've had pretty bad presidents for a long period of time. I hope Trump's okay, man, but I don't know. We'll see. But I think the way things are going to really work out is not through the president, because the president can't freaking. He's not supposed to be like the be-all dictator of the world, like he's controls the entire economy. That would make him a fascist, the leader, no matter who it is. Democrat, Republican, whatever the name is. By definition, if you have a leader that's in the government that controls the economy, that's fascism. You don't want that. You don't want that, man. You want them to just lay off. That's really what it is. And the people that work hardest, the people strive hardest. I know it's kind of theoretical because you can always have bad breaks, but sometimes bad breaks lead to good breaks too. You know, it's not always that way, guaranteed. And but when you have the government try to it's like you'll never get a perfect utopia. That's what I'm saying. But when you have the government come in and freaking try to do everything, you got a bunch of freaking people in there that work 3 hours a day, and they get paid for 8 with bennies, and you're paying them, and they're trying to make everything equal and stuff. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. There's so much regulation out there, like the examples are with lemonade stands. You can't make a lemonade stand without getting arrested. You can't have a snow shoveling business or something without having all kinds of permits and stuff, right? It's ridiculous. So, if the government goes away, I'm not hoping for doom and gloom here. I'm not hoping for collapse. I'm really hoping for just get rid of the dumb regulations. We don't need all this bullshit. That's really what I'm hoping for. I mean, it might be bad for some people, but some of those people that it might be bad for, they're part of the problem. I'm going to be probably getting Social Security here pretty soon. I don't give a shit if I don't get that crap, and government collapses and it's not there. Fine by me. I think I take the trade-off of getting rid of a lot of the stupid regulations because they can't, afford to freaking pay people to be a bunch of bureaucrats. And another thing Thomas Jefferson used to say too was the government that governs the least is the one that governs the best. I agree with that all the way. This guy was a good president. He's a good president. That's why you don't want to send somebody to Washington like, oh, he's got to. Actually, if you send somebody to Washington and he gets rid of the rules and all the executive orders, great. I don't know if Trump's actually doing that though. We'll find out, man. I just couldn't take her. I mean, she was freaking corrupt as all hell, man. But I'm not putting all my faith in this one man. That's for sure. And I think even if he is 100% legit and he's trying to do the best he can, he's not going to be able to do for you what you can't do for yourself in the first place. Like I always point to the sign again. Why can't you give my dad a job? Well, back then this was more like simple things. It wasn't like a complicated, big, conglomeration where you need people that specialize in this and this and that and all that kind of crap. People back then, they had jobs where, they could do that job on their own and start their own business. But a lot of people, well, actually during the Great Depression, if you just grew food, for crying out loud, you'd probably be in the money right there. There's no doubt about it. And anybody can pretty much do that. Anybody pretty much can do that. Even if you're growing food on land that is not yours in secret, right? Or whatever you're doing. But if you can perform the work for somebody else and he hires you, he's not he's not going to lose money on your labor. You know, if he's paying you, $800 a week or $1,000 a week, whatever the hell it is, um, he's not going to lose money on your labor. He's got to get a good margin over that, or else he's not going to pay you. So why can't you do that on your own? And the only thing that would preclude doing that is if it's such a complicated, overall operation that maybe you need, somebody that specializes in one little thing, and you can only do that in a big company. Then it's like that. But back in the 30s, it wasn't like that. You know. Um, anyway, one of the things though I think where people are going to get genuinely hurt is through the electronic financial system though. And I've been telling people, don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. It doesn't mean you necessarily have all your eggs in physical, but you don't want to have it one way or the other. You know, so if there's ever something like this happens, actually, people back in the 1930s when the Great Depression happened, a lot of people were smart enough not to have their money in the banks. Like you saw the big media productions with all the pictures and the film back then, people doing bank runs and lines. But actually, by and large, most people were smart enough not to have money in the banks. They didn't trust them that much back then. Now, everybody's like, put an app on your cell phone, your iPhone, whatever, and you got your money manager right there and all this kind of crap. I tell you, man, I think it's a big house of cards ready to come down, man. Um, but old school stuff is always going to be worth money, no doubt about it. So I think "Make America Great" is going to occur through the collapse of the government, and not saying a collapse of the whole economy, but I mean the government. The government's the problem, man. And I don't want to make that sound like a cliche, but it's like a big foot that's stamping down on people that are trying to do more things. There's so much regulation that you're spending more time messing around with regulations than you are trying getting stuff done. That's how screwed up government's gotten for the small businesses and stuff. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Trump, though. I mean, I was like kind of like I don't know. There's a couple people he pointed to. I don't know. Somebody's pointed to the CIA. He was. I forgot what the guy's name was. He supposedly calling for the execution of Snowden, and he was all for as a congressman. He was all for not labeling foods GMO, and he got him as part. He pointed him as a CIA director, and I was like, I don't know, Trump. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see, man. Like I said, be wary, man. Don't put all your faith in one guy. That's just the way it is. So anyway, over and out.